So my work is always, well, people say it's heavy or it has this certain tragedy. I created the characters boy and girl because I was fascinated with how fast something so beautiful can become so toxic. And I always write from experience. Luckily, femicide did not happen to me directly, but it did happen to a good dear friend of mine. From the outside, everything looked fine, but then when you zoomed in later on, you saw all the connections, all the signs. And I was thinking, okay, what can I do to get this conversation going when it comes to femicide? And unfortunately, it's too late for her situation, and that's really a deep pain. However, I know that unfortunately other people are still in that situation. So me, as an artist, a writer, a performer, a director, I thought, okay, I can use my talents, my gifts to open a conversation and to use my platform to talk about this. And yeah, playing the character Boyd did not really change my view on the situation. Femicide is bad, is wrong, is not okay. However, when it comes to storytelling, I always like to work with a plot twist. I always want to make characters developed. I always want them to be layered. So it would not be interesting to be the villain from the get-go or to be the victim from the get-go. And that's also what the reality is like when you start dating. A lot of the times, in my experience, different story, it starts very nice and very romantic, and the other person is perfect until you get to know each other. And then there comes a point where you're like, okay, are we gonna do this or not? And of course, in the situation of femicide, it's way, way, way worse. So that's not to compare it to a normal dating situation. However, I do believe that people who commit femicide once were in love. And that's what triggered me. That's what fascinated me. So no, it didn't change my mind portraying this story. However, I want to change other people's minds. The villain once was something else than just the villain. I'm always inspired by these old school artists from the 20s, from the 30s. I love jazz. I grew up with that. In those times, migrant performers, think of minstrel shows, variety shows, they were always telling an actual story, something horrific. Maybe somebody was lynched. Maybe there was another discrimination case. Maybe somebody got murdered. And they did it in such a way that it was very appealing to the audience. However, it always had a deeper meaning, and that's what I would like to create. My work has always a deeper layer. It's always about what's happening now. And I always say that I use humor as loop for the tragedy. So of course, we're gonna go there and it's gonna be in your face, but it will be packaged with happiness and warmth and juice and entertainment.
Cool, very good.
Yeah, you think so? I created Yes Girl. I also titled the show Yes Girl as a critique to myself. I am a cisgender man, very privileged in how I stand in life, but it was a critique to myself to speak up when it comes to situations like femicide, but also gender roles, where I see that people of other genders are very submitted to the male gender. And it's also a critique to the women around me. I hope and I wish and I pray that women will speak up more, that they will continue to say no, that they will continue to do whatever they want, when they want, and how they want. And of course, in my answer, I also know it's not safe for women. It's very dangerous. So I understand why women keep saying yes and keep abiding, keep supplying for the other gender. So in this title, with creating this show that's very binary. I really critique myself as well in the world that we uphold together, especially being a man. So yeah, I really hope that women will keep saying no, and that the men in the show will also understand that it's okay when they receive no, and that it's okay to accept no's.
Nice. Cool.
It's a very funny line because
I know.
it's like so flat eyes because you really want people to understand, but like yeah, you don't want to mansplain, but you still want to step up. You want to this yeah. That's when I create a show, when I create music, it's never alone. I'm blessed enough to work with a nice team, from the choreographer Laquelle to my music producers Jan Bars and Donna Lugassi. I am always interested in creating this environment where we can experiment. So I have this foundation or a coloring palette or a canvas, and that's the idea. The story would be to tell this classic story about a boy and a girl who fall for each other, and then it ends in a very dramatic tragedy. But how we get there is totally open. Style-wise, I knew I was inspired by jazz and soul and big bands and horn sections and the violin, but everything was open. And I also wanted to add some techno, but it's always nice that when I have the concept and I give it to my team, that we elevate the idea together and that it becomes something new. So I didn't know how it would end, but I'm glad that it did this way because we really created something in a collective way. It's something that we did together. And I'm really proud and grateful for that.